asked. There was one question on NABARD in your exam last year. So the pattern and trend of question papers shows that NABARD may not be asked this year. It can be asked, but chances are there that you will not be asked a full question on NABARD this year. I don't mean to say that it cannot be asked. It can be asked, but chances are not there. So we will move to the next topic, that is rural unemployment in India. Almost every year a question is asked on this, rural unemployment in India. Now, the course mention only rural unemployment in India, but you have to also study, and it can be asked in the examination, what is the nature and causes of rural unemployment in India? Number one. There will be an additional question on this, linked with this. What measures the government has taken to provide rural employment to the people? So this is the two topics which we are going to study. First, we will study about the nature and causes of rural unemployment in India. And the second is what measures have been taken by the government, what programs have been implemented by the government to solve this problem, or what is your opinion, how can this problem be solved? Anything can be asked. Now, unemployment. Though we do not have that portion in our course, but I will deal it in a very brief way. How can we say that a person is unemployed? What is the methodology which is adopted in the country to measure unemployment? Unemployment is there both in rural areas as well as in urban areas. So, do you have any idea how unemployment is measured in the country? Because you are doing your graduation courses, anybody can ask you anywhere, a question can be asked. How do we measure unemployment? There must be some methodology, some method, some technique to measure unemployment. Anybody has any idea how unemployment is measured? Can I call you an unemployed person? Whom can we,
Yes, sir.
Whom can we call an unemployed person?
Sir, when person is willing to work but their work is not available.
Okay.
One person is depend on another for their survival. When a person is depend on other person for their survival.
And if there is no other person to support him, then what will happen? Everybody is not lucky to have someone to support you. Everybody is not lucky like you are lucky. That even if you do not do anything, you will be supported by your parents. You see, it was a very serious problem when we gained independence in the decade of 50s and 60s, when poverty and unemployment increased. So, National Sample Survey, it is a national organization which collects information and data on various aspects, socio-economic aspects of the country. They designed along with some expert, designed a methodology to measure unemployment. There are three different concepts of measurement of unemployment. One is known as usual status of unemployment. Usual status of unemployment. Suppose I ask a person or you ask a person whether from this time when I am asking you, in the last 1 year, that is 12 months, you were employed or not? And if he says that in the last 1 year, from this reference point, 1 year back, he has been constantly trying to seek and get an employment, but he failed. He could not get an employment. Such a person is known as usual status unemployed. He is looking for a work, but he is not able to get it, secure it, so he is usually unemployed. And if you measure the number of usually unemployed in the country, it is around 3 to 4% of the working class, working group, age group, which is a very high number. And if you measure that in the last 1 year, suppose today, in the month of April, if you ask a person whether in the last 1 year he was ever employed, chances are that many of them will say that they did not get any employment in the last 1 year. Because after the pandemic issue, that is Corona, and the lockdown issue, unemployment was very, very high in the country. Even before Corona, if you have gone through literature, if you have read newspapers, if you are listening to TV news, it was said and claimed that the number of unemployed in the country created a record. That is, in the last 45 years, there was not such a high unemployment in the country. Now, if you want to see the government data on this, you will not find one, because our finance minister and our top leaders who are ruling the country, they are very clever people. They are really very intelligent. They are genius. What they have done, they have stopped measuring various issues, socio-economic issues. They don't collect data anymore. So, whatever the finance minister says, whatever the prime minister or the home minister or the defense minister says, that is the only source of information we have. And they say that the country is doing very well. We have a very high growth rate. Everybody in India is satisfied. He is very happy with the policies of the government, and unemployment is very low. There is no inflation is low, growth rate is high, per capita income has increased, people's standard of living has increased. And we have to take it, because we do not have classified government data, because the government has stopped collecting such kind of information. Even if information is collected, it is not published if it shows a bad light on the government policies. That is a political issue. I'm not going to go into it. But there are certain private agencies. For example, there is an organization based in Bombay known as CMIE, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. They regularly collect information and data and publish it, but it is not a government source. So one can say that private parties or private group which has collected, though they constitute top class economists of the country, and most of the economists in the country and the world believe in the data, they have faith in the data. It shows that unemployment has increased, at least in the last 1 year. The usual status of employment, that is last 1 year unemployed position, has increased in the country. Anyway, we are not going to go into the data, so don't worry. The second concept of measurement is known as weekly status unemployment. That is, if you ask a person whether in the last 1 week, 7 days, he got an employment, if he was seeking for employment and he could not succeed in getting employment in the last 7 days, or if he got employment for less than 4 hours, then you can say, let us talk about that hours in the different concept. If he has not been able to secure employment in the last 7 days, then it is said that the weekly status unemployment is this much. The third concept is known as daily status employment. If you ask a person in the evening or any time whether yesterday he was able to get yesterday he was able to get employment, and if he says that he has not been able to get employment yesterday, then we get the daily status unemployment measurement. But if he got employment for less than 4 hours, then we can say that he was employed partially, that is for half day he was employed. And if he has got employment for more than 4 hours, we can say that he was fully employed. So these are the three concepts of measurement of unemployment in India. That is usual status for 1 year, weekly status for the last 1 week, that is 7 days, and daily status, the current unemployment situation. Today it is claimed that around between 30 to 40 crores of people in the country are unemployed. The economy has started moving in the right direction. People were again flocking to industries and urban metropolitan cities to get gainfully employed. But once again, nature has played a dismal trick on us, and pandemic has started rising, and it is rising at a very, very fast pace. So I'll ask you all to be very careful, take all the precautions, because every day, at least in the university fraternity, I know at least 15 or 16 people who have been infected. They are hospitalized. I know several persons who was there with us 3 days back, and they are no more, because this infection is spreading very fast and it is fatal. So if we are lucky, we will survive, and if we are not lucky, we may not survive. You are young people, so chances are that you are very strong, your immune system is strong, you will live. People like us who have old, in respect to you, may not survive. That is a different issue. So, what are the nature and causes of rural employment? We will confine ourselves to rural employment. There are several reasons and several types of unemployment in the rural areas. Broadly, we can say that there are 3 kinds of unemployment in rural areas. Number 1 is seasonal unemployment. When there is a season of crop, then several people are unemployed. We can discuss a lot on that because of mechanization, increasing mechanization. Even during season of a crop, people are unemployed. So this is one category, seasonal unemployment. You may be aware that in many areas where cultivation takes place, where agriculture is the primary occupation, because of lack of irrigation facilities or because of poor soil conditions, only one crop is sown. So seasonal unemployment is rampant in the villages. For 6-7 months, people do not have any kind of employment. Then they seek employment in other places. There is very few non-agricultural employment in the villages or rural areas. Then they migrate to cities in the district, in the state or outside the state in order to search for employment. That is different. So one is seasonal unemployment. The second category of unemployment is disguised unemployment. That is, in a rural sector, in agriculture, especially in agriculture, suppose there is a family of 10 persons and 8 are employed or engaged in cultivation or in agriculture. but there is need of only 4. So 4 extra people are working in the agriculture. If they do not work, even then the production will not decline. So this extra 4%, surplus 4%, is known as disguised unemployment. This is a specific case of surplus labor in our rural areas. What are the causes? We will go into that shortly. The third and a very important category of unemployment is known as structural unemployment. That is, unemployment is built in structure of the economy. In rural areas, most of the work are related with agriculture or allied sector. That is, there are people who are employed in dairy farming, people who are employed in some other skill work, but very few people are employed. There is a huge amount of landless laborers in the villages, in rural areas. They are mostly unemployed for most of the time. So the structure of the economy has to change in order to reduce the structural employment. And this is not a short-term process, it's a long-term process. It has been tried in the last 60, 70 years, but we have not succeeded. Unemployment is a very rampant and serious problem in our country even today. Now, what are the causes of rural unemployment? I will give you 8-9 causes. I will present a presentation on your screen and we will discuss that today. So just wait, bear with me. You see 9 most essential causes of rural unemployment in India. Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Then
sir.
now you read it. Read what the next thing. India has a large number of unemployed people. This is true of the rural as well as urban fields. In urban area, there are a large number of educated unemployment. He is talking about people like you. And in the rural areas, this is true of all the categories of people. Per capita income in rural areas, and particularly those engaged in agriculture, is very low, does not exceed a sum of rupees 450 per annum. He is talking about long back, so you may not read this last line. For your consumption, per capita income in rural areas are very low, particularly of those people who are engaged in agriculture. We all know that agriculture has become a very costly affair. The cost of producing agriculture, of cultivating, say, 1 bigha of land, and the market price of the produce, there is not much difference. Sometimes the cost is higher than the market price which the farmer get. So agriculture has become a non-profitable work or business or occupation. That is the reason, if you see, that the farmers of the country are agitating, and their main demand is that the government should guarantee, make a law that they will get a minimum support price, minimum price for the produce, which was recommended by the Swaminathan Committee. There was a committee set up by agriculture scientist M.S. Swaminathan, and he has recommended that for all the crops, this is the minimum which the government should pay them. But the government says that they have implemented the Swaminathan Committee, which is false, but the government has media with this. on its side. So they keep on telling that we have admitted, and they say that we are paying the minimum support price. Only 6% of the crops produced in the country are being sold at minimum support price. 94% of the farmers, they don't get minimum support price. In fact, they sell their produce even less than 50% of the minimum support price. And these are the reasons why the farmers in Bihar, in most part of the Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and other places, they are in a very pathetic conditions. They are poor. Only farmers in Haryana and to Punjab and Western Uttar Pradesh, they mostly get the minimum support price. And this is the reason why farmers have a high standard of living in these states. So, per capita income in rural areas, and particularly those engaged in agriculture, is very low. If the farmers get a high remunerative or price and earn a profit from the agriculture cultivation, then the laborers who work on the field will also get high wages. If you are living in Uttar Pradesh and if you are aware, if your eyes and ears are open, then you will know that thousands and thousands of farmers or people, laborers from Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, they migrate to Punjab and Haryana to do wage labor. Why? Because wage is very high there. Normally, the wage rate in Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh are around 600 to 700 rupees per day. In Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, you can hire a wage laborer in village for even today for 200 rupees. You can hire them, and even if you do not pay them wages, they won't be able to do much. So, this is the first paragraph. You can understand that. The second, according to the report of Rural Agricultural Commission, that is, Indian agriculturers are unemployed for about 6 months in a year in rural areas. Apart from the unemployment of the people, since there are landless people who are unemployed. There is grammatical mistake and some other type of mistake, but you can correct it. This number is about 10 to 50 crores. All these things go to prove that there is a good deal of unemployment in the rural areas. Here the aim is just to show that rural unemployment is very high. Even the Rural Agricultural Commission of India has said that. When it said, I don't remember, or from the source where I took this has not mentioned it. But one thing is certain, that there is unemployment, rampant unemployment in agriculture sector. Then there are various factors responsible for this situation. The factors because of which there is unemployment in the rural areas may be studied below. So let us see what are the causes of rural unemployment. In the next slide, you will see that excessive increase in population or population explosion. Now, we all know that. I need not go into it, but it is said that in India, the growth rate of population for the last 40-50 years is around 2%. But the growth rate in employment is very, very low. The elasticity of employment, that is, if there is a 4%, 5% growth rate in the country of the economy, in agriculture, the employment generation is around 0.4%, 0.5%. So, every year there is a backlog of unemployed people. New labor force are coming into the stream, but employment generation is low in the agriculture sector. Also, with passing time, as that we advance in time, modernization of agriculture is taking place and it leads to displacement of laborers. The work which was done by 50% in a big land is now done by 10% because of advanced technology being used. So this is also one of the reasons why unemployment is there in the rural area. The second reason is limited land and great pressure on land. You see the growth rate of the family, the increase in the size of the family is increasing, but the land which they possess is not increasing. So pressure on the land is high. And we have talked about land, small farmers, marginal farmers, that regularly their size of the land is being declining at a very fast rate. So these people who are dependent on that small piece of land, their numbers have increased, but the land has not increased. So they have to seek employment in some other sector. And in some other sector, the growth of employment is also very low. The generation of employment is low. So this is the problem, that limited land and great pressure on land. Additional land is being brought under agriculture, but that could be done only by cutting the forest. And because in the name of urbanization, in the name of development, many fertile or productive agricultural land has been acquired by the government to build concrete buildings or roads or highways or bridges. It is where I am living, a 6-lane bridge is being constructed by the government, and I can see with my own eyes that thousands of acres of land has been taken away by the government without providing any alternative employment or source of livelihood, or even paying compensation to the farmers. So thousands of people who were dependent for their livelihood on these lands, because of development, which is also necessary, because of urbanization, which is also necessary, they have become unemployed and they will not get employment rest of their life. So limited land and great pressure on land is also one of the reasons for rural unemployment. Seasonal nature of agriculture. I have already talked about seasonal nature of agriculture. In India, there are only around 42% or 43% of the land which is irrigated, where we can have crop around the year. Rest of the land, more than 50% of the agricultural land had only one crop. So for this reason, people are unemployed for more than 6 or 7 months in rural areas most of the time. Then the fourth reason is lack of subsidiary and other village industries. We don't have much small scale cottage industries in the villages. There are few, but it is not enough to provide employment to everyone. Yes, we can say that many people, they get employment, they are engaged in allied sector of the agriculture. I was talking about dairy farming, goat rearing, bee, honey bee, that is shahad, poultry, and some other artisan works. But these are very limited. So if we want to increase employment, we will come to that later on, then we have to start on a massive scale village industries and subsidiary units in the villages in order to provide employment. Then the fifth reason is that is too much dependence on nature. We all know that agriculture depends on the nature, particularly for irrigation. But as we are in an era, the time where climatic changes are taking place, when it is rainy season or monsoon season, it does not rain, but it rains at odd times. Then sometimes there are flash floods, sometimes there are other kind of natural calamities which damages crop and the farmers are shattered. Sometimes even because of inclement weather at the time of harvesting, agriculture again gets a setback. So all these factors lead to unemployment. Then the sixth reason is undeveloped and traditional method of agriculture. I don't agree with this. Though the reason is there, the question is that when agriculture was 40 years back, I could find most of the people were engaged in agriculture in one way or another because the agriculture was traditional. We were using traditional methods of agriculture. Then we have to set our priority. If we want to increase our production, our productivity, we have to use modern methods of agriculture. We have to develop our agriculture. We have to commercialize our agriculture. We have to go for commercial crops. But these commercial crops and modernization of agriculture, there the scope of providing or generating employment is reduced. But here you can say that undeveloped and traditional method of agriculture is also one of the reasons for rural unemployment. Then the seventh, lack of education and ignorance about scientific and modern means of agriculture. For the sake of writing, you can write down, but I think education is one of the, right now, currently, education is one of the reasons why people are unemployed in the country, at least in the urban area. You people, most of the students who are studying here, maybe they come from a rural background, they have got agricultural land. Now, they are getting education. Once they become a graduate, they will not go back to agriculture because of social prestige. But if they were not educated, they have only been imparted primary education, they may have engaged in agriculture and increased the productivity of the agriculture sector. After your completion of your higher studies, if you go back to your villages, you may, with the knowledge which you have gained, can apply scientific and modern means to agriculture. You may go for agro-processing, food industries, or many other things where you can provide employment in the villages itself and you can earn also. But most of us are studying. We have taken admission not to become a good human being or to develop our personality or to develop our agriculture, but we all will try to get a government job, because then we will become a party in the loot which the government is making all over the country. So we think that government job is the best job where you have to work less and you get a high and good salary. That is true. There is no doubt in it. But education has taken away, has snatched youth from the agriculture sector to the urban sector. Whatever utility, whatever productivity they can generate is being utilized in urban areas, not in rural areas. So, because of lack of scientific and modern means, because of ignorance, rural unemployment is rampant in villages. Lack of adequate means of agriculture, we have already studied this. This is an important reason for seasonal unemployment in the agriculture sector. Then the last, small holdings and fragmentation of land. I have discussed this in the context of agrarian structure when I was talked about marginal farmers and small farmers, because they have a very small piece of land which is not economically viable. That piece of land cannot sustain them for the whole year, so they seek alternative employment. If it is available, it is well and good. If it is not available, then they will live a very dismal life, and so many fatalities occur because of these things. When I go to a village, to my village. I have a village. During my childhood days, I used to go there frequently. But those boys, those people who are of my age, we used to play together. Now when I go there, many of them who are younger than me also, but they are in a very shabby condition. Their health has deteriorated. They have become old. They do not have any work. They are unemployed. And they are at the mercy of the people. If somebody gives them food, they can eat it, or otherwise they can't. So this is the usual condition. There are exceptions. There are people who have made money, who have migrated to other places. They have done well. But these are the causes of rural unemployment in India. So now we know that there is unemployment in the country. I will come back and will directly interact with you. So we all know that rural unemployment is a very rampant, is a very serious problem in the country. If we want India to become a developed country, then this problem has to be sorted out. Solutions must be found for this problem. Not only rural unemployment, even urban employment. If nothing is done, then youth like you will be a frustrated lot, and frustration will lead you to so many things which I don't want to name here, but you can very well understand. So what the government has done, or what you can suggest, could be done in order to solve this problem of rural unemployment in the country. Now, the government has started hundreds and hundreds of programs since the last 60-70 years in order to provide employment, in order to reduce unemployment. They are known by various names. Sometimes we call it poverty alleviation programs. Sometimes they are very focused programs, providing employment to small farmers, marginal farmers, desert people living in the desert, people living in the drought areas, people staying in the hill areas. Many such programs have been started in the country over a long period of time. No, it is not possible for anyone to study. It is possible to study each and every program in detail. But when you are asked in an examination that what are the causes of rural employment, what measures government has taken to provide employment in the rural areas or generate employment in the rural areas. Now, you will get a time of, say, between 30 to 45 minutes. You have to answer that question in this limited time. Now, there are more than 100 programs. How can you write those 100 programs in 45 minutes? So, certain methodology has to be evolved in order to answer such kind of question. In order for that, there is a methodology. I will tell you. There are three ways in which you can club the government effort to provide employment in the rural areas or to solve the problem of unemployment in the rural area. Three broad categories. Two categories are very important. Number one, write down just three words: wage employment program. Number one is known as wage employment program. Number two is self-employment program. self-employment program, or another name of self-employment program is income generating program. Income generating program. The third is special programs, specific programs, you can say. Now we will study all the government schemes under these three heads. And once you understand what these three heads means, then you can think of many ways to find solutions, and you can write down what meaningfully you can answer this question. So now I think we can stop here. In the next one lecture, I will complete this. So in unit 2, that is in the current unit which we are studying, there are 2 questions at least which you should prepare for your exam. You have to answer only one. One is the various sources of rural credit in India, both non-institutional and institutional sources. I have already given you information and data. There are 2 data which is of useful to you. One is the various sources, and the other which I gave is the amount of credit which has been given by institutional sources, that is cooperative sector, commercial banks, regional rural banks. The third, that is we have talked about NABARD. As I said that last year it was asked. So if somebody, whatever I have told you, we have discussed, that is more than enough for your information and knowledge. At least you have a base. You may safely do not prepare for that for your examination. If you prepare this rural employment and this sources of rural credit, then you will get one question. One has to study everything, so you study. But this is my advice to you, suggestion, that these 2 topics, that is rural unemployment and the sources of rural credit, are important from the examination point of view in this current year. Now, if you want to ask anything, you can ask. 5 minutes are left.
Sir, as in a PPT, there was written that the lack of adequate means of irrigation, but
Yes.
I have studied somewhere or read on the newspaper or something else that if the means are also get developed, then in unemployment will be more, because if the machinery take place over the peoples, then the unemployment rate of the laborers who are uneducated would increase rapidly.
Yeah, I have said it, you missed it. I have said that I don't agree with such things, that modernization will create more employment, or lack of modernization has increased unemployment.
Yes,
But you have to choose between 2. You don't have much choice. Do you want that agriculture's productivity should increase, or do you want that the productivity should not increase? If 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
If green revolution in the decade of mid-60s has not taken place,
Yes,
mechanization was introduced after green revolution itself, because of to implement the new scientific way of cultivation. There were opposition from people that it will lead to unemployment. But we do not have much choice. If green revolution has not taken place, then several problems of the India would have been automatically solved by the nature. There would have been a high number of deaths in the country because of shortage of food grains. We have become self-sufficient in food grain because of green revolution. So modernization has helped us at least to live a life, do not die of hunger. So you are saying that because of, you could have asked another question. There is a severe problem of irrigating the field because the water table has constantly gone down. There is depleting water sources below the ground and above the ground in the country. For example, Punjab, Haryana, where excessive irrigation facilities are there. The water table has gone down and the cost of production has increased too much.
Yes, sir.
So there are many places where irrigation facilities are not available. The government has to build massive projects to build canals, but you can find that the two big rivers in northern India, that is Ganga and Jamuna, you will find that during the summers, this time there is reduced water. Most of the water is held by the dams. So these are the problems we are facing. We have to solve that problem, and rain harvesting and such other concepts which have introduced has to be strictly followed in order to increase the water table under the ground.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
Sir,
Yes.
in USA, the government pays huge subsidy to farmers for their produce, and the corporate sector deals directly with the farmers. So, is Indian agriculture on its way of becoming a slave of corporate sector?
No, the question is not becoming a slave. You see, USA is a rich country. India is a poor country. In USA, a farmer is asked not to sow wheat crop, for example. They have got huge amount of agricultural land. The farmers are asked by the government not to sow wheat crop in a particular season, but they are paid the full price which they would have earned by selling their produce in the market as subsidy. India cannot do it. In USA, the number of farmers constitute only 2% of the population. India, the farmers are around 50% of the population. And India is a poor country. We do not have enough money. Whatever subsidy we were giving to farmers to the agriculture sector, the government is gradually withdrawing. So there is no harm to work for corporate houses. Whatever you are saying that we will become slave, yes, we will become. If you study history, if you study economic philosophy, for example, if you study Karl Marx has written in 1860s, whenever he wrote his Capital, that only big corporate houses will dominate everything and rest of us will be their servants. He was not talking about India, but he was talking about the world. And this is true for the world today. We are moving in that direction. 3 or 4 corporate house in the country is controlling more than 75% of the wealth of the nation. They have monopoly on every sector. So this is a time of capitalism. We are selling, the government is selling all the public sector which was built from our money. We have paid taxes for that. They are selling, for example, if a public sector is worth 5,000 crores, then they will be sold for 1,000 crores. Why they are being sold at such low prices and why they are being sold at all? So if public sector is being closed, if the government does not require workers or employees to run their offices, then what fate you people will have? You will not get employment in public sector, you will not get employment in government sector, everything will be privatized. So there is a very high chances that you will become a sales girl in a mall. Don't take it otherwise. I'm talking about you, anyone, all of you, most of them. The only opportunity will be that we become a salesman, sales girls, account assistant. When you go to a mall, if you visit a mall, you see so many people who are working there. The only difference is that they are not very educated. People are educated. You think that you will get a government job. You think that you will get a good private job. But that is not there anymore. So these are the problems which we are facing. Don't compare India with USA. If the government agrees to pay the minimum support price as suggested by Swaminathan to our farmers in the country, then believe me, agriculture will revive in the country and we will develop much faster than what we are doing today. But by doing that, by giving minimum support prices, as Swaminathan said, to the farmers, the loss will be of corporate houses. Adani has built thousands of godowns, cold storages. He has invested thousands of crores of rupees, but he will not get any profit because the food grains which he will buy will be very costly, so he will not be able to export it at that price, and he will not earn profit by exporting and selling it to foreign countries, and he cannot earn much profit by selling to the domestic buyers. Now, the government has to choose between the corporate houses and the farmers. Does the government want that the farmers should have a better standard of living? Or does the government want that these corporate houses, few corporate houses, they own all the assets of the country and everybody else will work for them? This is the situation right now. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Anything else? So, okay, we will complete this chapter in the next lecture. All the best for the day.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.